Peace, and blessing. Again, Warhub, which means welcome. Warhub, welcome, bienvenido, and maboika. Okay, I'm just making some adjustments here. Give me a second. All right, here we are. If by the title, this is entitled Critical Thinking versus Paradoxical, and we're going to define that. And I just wanted to say that for those of you that, I'm Silos Conga. That's my music name, but also I'm known as Kepra Shua Sep. You know what I'm saying? That school of AO. On the answer day, I was known as Abdul Sabor, Abdullah Muhammad. And on my other comedic, because we have different names that appeal to our different characters. So, namely, call me Sabor, which means a judges, sit in the Council of Nine. But, we'll just talk about that some other time. Anyway, I just wanted to say that I did chime in on a podcast, which I don't necessarily do all the time. I am a moderator at Sonetas. He made me a moderator just recently, and that's because, I always was on the chat line and let him know that, hey, look, that ain't right, can't do this, you can't do that, man, be careful. Let me put on this and see if anybody comes on, then I'm able to chat with you via Facebook or YouTube. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that, so I was made a moderator at the Sonetta Studios, but I went into another podcast. So I visit a few of these platforms. Sometimes some brothers tell me, yo, you got to check this out, and boom, and shoot me a link, and I go and I get on. Surprisingly, this brother, Moorish TV, opened up the platform. And so I was able to come on in. And, Uma York was there. So I checked out the title. I didn't agree too much about the title because, again, like I said, we've got to be careful about slandering and backbiting, things that can come back to bite you in the butt. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good practice, especially if we want to adhere to certain morals and ethics in life. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that you want to stay away from. But anyway, let me see what's this. Okay, wonderful. So I got on there and I started speaking. I wanted to reintroduce myself to Uma because it seems like she probably really didn't know who I was. You know what I'm saying? But I had her in my Instagram, so I came on and I started to reintroduce myself, letting know who I was and how far I go back, and letting her know that there are brothers out here that we were able to analyze situations, and we grew from that. That's what deals with getting older, eldership. You know what I'm saying? It's the practicality of things. You know what I'm saying? We not only read books, but we lived a life. Because of the books we were reading and the tones we were receiving, we led a certain lifestyle. But, I noticed that when I revisited because I came at later on, almost at the tail end of the podcast, I checked out some of the chats, which I normally don't do because you got all types of people in those chats, man. You got disgruntled people, you got agents provocateurs, you got, again, that's why I titled this Critical versus Paradoxical. You got a lot of critical thinkers out there. You know what I'm saying? It's dangerous what you take in. So I try not much to take in, or if I'm taking this in, I'm going to give it the antidote. I'm going to balance it. You know what I'm saying? Because, I got to protect my being. You know what I'm saying? I got to protect my family. I got to protect everything around me. You know what I'm saying? So I can allow certain tones and vibrations and, which come through ways of words to enter, So a lot of comments were made, man. I don't know if I should play you those comments. No, I'm not going to do it here. Maybe some other time I'll do that. But no. I'm not going to play those comments. I'm not going to give life to that. But it's been a lot of, brothers reminiscing and this, what that has to do with it. First of all, when you're able to reminisce and go back into your experience, then you get to see your growth. You gotta go back. And also to learn about the nature of something, you gotta go to its origin. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta go, again, you see your growth like that. You get to see what you experienced back then and to now. And you get to correct certain mistakes that were made. And that's the reason why, this is very important, this Morals and Ethic Appropriation Committee, with a lot of brothers that lived then that probably wasn't involved hands-on with what's happening in the community, in the village, in the community, but they experienced it. They're there to validate. They're there to tell you, yes, that did happen, and that's true. Or I didn't know that was going on. And wow, where are we going to go from here? Another thing is, a shout out to all those platforms, but when I strongly suggest, there's some great platform. The brother Pharaoh Sachet, right? I don't want to mess up his name, but the Pharaoh's platform, which sometimes I get on, very great platform. You know what I'm saying? And also Amun Numa, great platform. Even though he's a little rough, he's gonna give it to you raw. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna put up with a lot of nonsense. Pharaoh is more diplomatic, and Pharaoh would try to put it all together and give you doctrine. He's gonna take it back to the books, to the doctrine. So they both got their method of dealing with certain things. But those platforms are very important to us because a lot of these other platforms are not invested, didn't come from the school, and are not Sabians and Nuwapians. Then they don't adhere to Wu Nuwap, and they don't adhere to Wu Sabat. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to reach out there as to see how people, because we can't close ourselves to what's out there, to our people, because the part of it is to clean that mess up. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we have to set certain perimeters. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of these discussions that are going on these other platforms are discussions that should be happening on platforms that deal with brothers that adhere to Wu Nuwap and Wu Sabat. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. I wanted to start the Morals and Ethic Appropriation platform, and I'm probably going to do a YouTube page on that, just specifically for that, because to invite, family, and to invite other different schools too, to have a civil discussion where we can also practice. That's paradoxical reasoning, okay? And I'm gonna share my screen a minute over here and give you the definition. So we want to go into the critical thinking and paradoxical thinking. So that's what I wanted to say, about that situation. So, I got on there, I reintroduced myself, and I was, hoping that we could have furthered the conversations, but obviously my mic, I was using this microphone right here, but the connection on this mic wasn't too good, so I was immediately disconnected. But people say, hey, power be, you know what I'm saying? And so, it's just happened. It's just happened. But I'm hoping to have a more thorough discussion with the sister, if she wants to come on, and broadcast it. I don't have as much viewership, but once it gets, at least it's documented. It's documented, it's put down, and then people could always revisit it later on. And maybe I'm going to speak to Pharaoh, maybe I'm in Nuba, and maybe we can all share our different content and share these platforms amongst each other, so as to bring, because let me tell you something, man. Panaba has been doing this since the 60s, 64. And along that journey, in his life, he has helped and has attracted help and woke up a lot of people, if not millions of people around the world globally. I remember also reminiscing again in Ansar, we used to get letters from Morocco, people in Morocco, people in Nigeria, people in England, in France, in Japan. We got letters from people all around the world when the books was translated in that particular language and it was put out there. And the work that Dr. York was doing with Passion Records, attracted a lot of people globally. And you know what I'm saying? So around the world, there is a huge amount of people that know this. Unfortunately, at this day and time now, they're trying to limit that. You have a lot of disgruntled members that are, don't want to honor that. Like I said, I'm not a follower, but I recognize greatness. I recognize charisma. I recognize talent. In all of us, and especially in this man, I recognize a very strong character and personality that was able to change people's lives around them, to change neighborhoods, to change paradigms, to change schools of thoughts. Schools of thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So that's very, very honorable, and we can't forget that. You just cannot forget that. You know what I'm saying? So, to those people that was in a chat, talking about, oh yeah, you condone what he did, this and that. So that's where we're going to go into the critical and the paradoxical. Okay, so let me bring up the definition of critical. Let me share my screen here. And I hope everybody's having a wonderful experience. I'm going to, little by little, I'm healing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm again analyzing my growth from the times I was in New York University studying communication, also because that was a requirement. And so I'm going to revisit my lessons and revisit and hopefully give share that experience and bring that professionalism. You know what I'm saying? I got my grandson here. He's 12 years old. In trouble. But anyway, let me share my screen. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me get off the screen for 1 minute, but I'm still speaking with you. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. I'm still here, okay? I'm just off the screen, but I'm gonna share. Let's see. I'm gonna share this here because I'm gonna bring this up. Okay, and let's maximize this. Okay, critical reasoning and critical thinking. And you find this a lot when you go through the chats and people have, this civilization, this school system, public school system in the public arena. This is a sense of reasoning that was inquired from this educational system. And it's critical thinking, which means expressing adverse or disproving comments or judgments. He was critical of the many U.S. welfare programs, right? Or expressing and involving an analyst of the merits and faults of a work of literature, music, or art. Expressing. So critical thinking is an expression, right, of thinking, of the mind. It's expressing something. Remember, we define expression as being squeezed out. So the third one is of a situation about having the potential to become disastrous at a point of crisis. Okay, you see that happen. That's just another definition. Ill and at risk of death, having a decisive or crucial importance in the success, failure, and existence of something. Decisive, deciding. Is this or that? Is either this or that? It's neither this nor that. So it's relating to or denoting a point of transition from one state to another. You're denoting the point, the difference between one and the other. Nuclear reactor or fusion, okay, and let's go critical. The origin of that is the mid-16th century, and in a sense, criticus is relating to the crisis of a disease, a dis-ease, right? Relating to the crisis of a dis-ease, a disease. Really, really, if you can grasp that meaning, because that's where it comes from. This is the origin of that. You know, you got to know the origin of something in order to look at what it is today, and that's criticus, from the late Latin criticus. And that's, again, relating to the crisis of a dis-ease. And dis-ease, you know, when something is at ease, is at ease. When something is against that, is dis-ease, a disease in the body, right? A disease in any form. So when you're relating to the crisis of that, that's critical thinking. And that's, I find that's, let me get this off of here for a second. 1 second here. That is critical thinking. Okay, I'm back here. Oh, yeah, I am. Let me go back here. Critical. So let's look at paradoxical. But you understand what critical thinking is? It's either this or that. So you're denoting, you know what I'm saying? You're playing into a difference. Now let's look at, in order to understand what critical thinking is, reasoning, we got to look at paradoxical thinking. That's how this is critical versus paradoxical. Let's bring that up. Here you go, paradox. Well, paradoxical also comes from the word paradox, right? So we want to do that. Here, let me do this, do that, this, and here you go, paradox. And then we're going to go into paradoxical. But paradox is seemingly observed or self-contradictory statement or preposition that when investigated or explained may prove to be well-founded or true. You see? Paradoxical. You got two sides, right? Self-contradictory statement or proposition that when you investigate or explain may prove to be well-founded and true. Now, also another meaning is a statement or proposition that despite sound right reasoning, despite of the sound, which is apparently sound reasoning from acceptable premises, leads to a conclusion that seems senseless, logically unaccepted, or self-contradictory. So it can go in two ways, you know what I'm saying? In both, you know what I'm saying? A situation, a person, or thing that combines. Now look, this is very important. A situation, a person, or thing that combines contradictory features or qualities, right? In a situation, it combines both. That's paradoxical thinking. Critical is either this or that. Paradoxical says it's both. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. Let's say you're a person that comes up and hold on 1 second, let me get out of here and get back to the screen. Let's erase that. And then let me go here. Let me get back on the screen. My bad. So again, and I brought this up before. Let's say you're a person that says, the sky is blue. The sky is blue. It's not red. It's not white. It's not any other color. It's blue because that's what I see. So this is blue. It's not that. It's not green. It's not a white or blue. It is blue, the sky. So when someone comes and gives you a contradictory to that, right, and says, critically, they can say, the sky's not blue. The sky is clear. It's not blue, it is clear. It's just refracting the blue. Actually, all of the color, the spectrums there, just that blue is coming at you faster, and because of the nitrogen, and it's funneling out, and also the reflection of also the blue, the blue waters or the blue light, right? They give you a more in-depth scientific reason, right? So they tell you, so it's not blue. but it appears to be blue. That's an illusion, right? Whereas one person says, well, they believe in that illusion. You know what I'm saying? That's what they see, right? But they don't look at behind the scene. Whereas another person could look behind the scene, but they don't want to honor that person's perspective, that illusion that they're viewing or that we're viewing. Paradoxically, it says, you know what? Both is right. Is that one appears, you can look at the word appears because of the illusion, like I said, and at the same time, it's because of the refraction, the nitrogen in the air, and is refracting the blue light that's coming from the spectrum. That's paradoxical thinking. So both are existing at the same time. Both of those views. I got up this morning and seen the sunrise. Okay, that's my experience. I saw the sunrise, right? Oh, you didn't see the sunrise. Actually, the sun doesn't rise. That's an illusion. It's the earth that's tilting, so the sun appears to be rising, but actually what it is that the sun is tilting. Okay? So it's not this or that. That's critical thinking. But when it says paradoxical, because of the sun tilting, it appears to be rising. That's paradoxical. Because of the nitrogen, the sky appears to be blue. It's blue. That's paradoxical. Both are right. You know what I'm saying? It's not contradictory. You know what I'm saying? Both are correct. So when we talk about situations and people experience certain things, let me see if I can find something here, man, for y'all. Something very interesting. Let me see if I can find it, because there is an African folklore. It's called Fila. Let's see if I can find that. Man, let me see if I can find that for you. I should have. I'm just doing this at the fly. I'm just doing it. Let's see if it shows up. Some very interesting things coming up. Let me see this. The Bata shoe story goes like this. Let's see if this is the glass half full or half empty. It depends on how good you are at looking. Let me see if I can bring that up. Should I share that? Let's see. Oh, do you see that? You don't see that because I'm not sharing it. I'm going to share. Let's see. Share. Stop sharing and let's share. Share. Let me see. You see Chrome. It's the Bata story. You should be seeing that now because I am sharing the screen. Yeah, it's on there. Let's maximize that. Okay. This is the Bata shoe story. Goes like this. When I first visited Africa in 1978, let me see. No, this is not gonna. You know what? From memory, I could tell you the story. This is about shoes. This is not the one I was looking for. My bad. But it's a nice story. This is a nice story. You got to check that out. You got to check it out. But let me tell you the story like this. What I can remember from the story, okay, and speaks about experiences. There was a man who had a large hat, right? He had a hat. And as he was walking down this path, you have people on the right side and you have people on the left side, right, of this path. So as he was walking, he sat in with some drummers and he taught them certain rhythms, you know? And so the people on the right and the people on the left was participating with him, and they loved what they received. It just happened the people on the right got it more, were able to more get the rhythm patterns than the people on the left. And so then he got up and left. He gave his lessons, right? This is also the story of Musa and Khidra. That's a sense of paradoxical thinking. But this is the story of this man with the big hat. So as he walked down, again, he experienced some dancers. So he taught the dancers some step on the right, and he taught dancers some step to the left. And then as he was walking, I can't remember something he did. He healed people. You know, he healed people on the right and he healed people on the left. Finally, when the man with the hat left, when a student came by to look for this man in the hat, he addressed the people on the right, and the people and he asked him, where did the man go with the big hat? He said, you mean the man with the red hat? He went that way. Then he went to the left side, you know, and asked the people on the left side, where did the man go? Did he have a red hat? I said, no, he didn't have a red hat. He had a black hat. And he went that way. So then the student says, oh, get down the path. Seen the dancers. And he asked the dancers, who taught you those dances? Oh, the man with the red hat taught us how to dance like this. Then he went to the left side. Who told you how to dance? He said, oh, the man with a black hat taught us how to dance like this. And it keep on and on and on. Who healed you? The man with the red hat healed us at the right side. The left side said, the man with the black hat. So the student was confused. And this man either had a red hat or he had a black hat. It's either this or that. But what he didn't realize, the moral of the story, is that this man had a hat that half of the hat was red and half of the hat was black. So as he's walking, of course, on the right-hand side, the hat's going to appear red. Whereas the left-hand side, the hat's going to appear black. So it was in half. The moral of the story, all right? Are you getting it? So the story of Musa, I read it before, the Musa and Khidra. It's like, why are you doing certain things? Well, you don't have patience to learn. And then later on he finds out, you see, you got critical thinking in your mind. That's why you don't have patience. You're thinking critically. You're not seeing paradoxically say, wait a minute, there's something more behind this situation. There's more behind it. But there are people out here that they don't want to hear that. They do not. What's up, cuz? What's up, Steve? What's up, beautiful? There's people out here that don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear. They want to believe in the man had a red hat. They don't want to look at the other side that the man, you know, they don't want to acknowledge that this man's hat was in half. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to acknowledge certain things. You see, the Zen Buddhists, you seen the symbol with the white and then the black, the what they call that, Taoism, right? Good and evil can exist at the same time because they're two different vibrations. A person can do an horrendous act, but something good can come out of that. Can you believe that? Some people are critical. No, if you do bad, you do bad. They don't see that within that, this is a touch of goodness in there. Because that's how it, man, that's nature. I don't know how else can we put it? That's nature. So as you in life come to find out that there are people that do great acts, good acts, but the end result becomes bad. Because it's two different vibrations. Good and evil are two different vibrations. So it can exist at the same situation, at a person, right? At a thing. It's how you resonate. You know what I'm saying? Again, but there are those that resonate on the higher frequency that are looking at it from a paradoxical lens. They're not looking at it from a critical lens. And no, and not to disregard that, because sometimes you need critical thinking in order to achieve certain type of reasoning skills. But to go further than that, you have what they call paradoxical thinking. What happened to my phone? Let me see something. My bad, yo. There you go. So you have this sense, so, you know, you have people that in our lives that are like that. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, if you could just amplify, for if you have a person that is not, you know, it's toxic, but I find a lot of toxic individual has some good qualities in them. It's just that they caught up in that toxic feeling paradigm. Because your paradigm are feelings that are habitual, that create a habit. Your feelings create habits, right? You have an idea, and then that idea becomes a feeling, and you put into that feeling, and you become, and you create an habitual situation, right? It becomes a habit. So there are people that are caught. They're not balanced. You know, we got to get to a point where we got to now look beyond transcendent, and we got to look for that total balances. Again, that's that aha moment. Okay, that's the appreciation, that's the expansion of the heart. The aha moment, the expansion of your heart. And that's where paradoxical reasoning comes in, to appreciate it all. I appreciate the bad and I appreciate the good. But the bad, I know is bad. So I'm able to watch out for it. But no, hey, in that badness, there's a piece of goodness in there. Let me see if I can amplify that. If I can't amplify that, then I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. And a toxic person, there are good qualities in them. If I can't amplify that, then I'm just going to leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you want to also take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? You want to be, again, very, 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 there we go. Sorry, there was something here. Got my phone out. I'm looking at the same time, this is being simultaneously being broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube. And I advise everybody to go to my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube page. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I put musical content on here, and sometimes Facebook will not acknowledge it, and they will cut it, mute it. But if you want the whole full content, then you go to my YouTube page and you'll get the whole full content. Because I'm pulling that musical stuff from YouTube anyway. So yeah, that's important. So, again, critical and paradoxical. I'm saying two different ways of more reasoning, you know. In the critical thinking, and both uses deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Another time we'll go over that, because I don't want to do an extensive class on that. You know what I'm saying? Deductive reasoning, and also deductive and inductive reasoning. I need a board, and what I'll do is I'll try to draw it out and give you a graph, and maybe put the graph on, you know, on here. So you can get, you know, so we can manifest those, again, paradigms, habitual things. And so, you know, that's the difference. So, you know, when I get on a lot of these podcasts, a lot of times, you know, I look at the chat. Some of it, you know, I've gone past that. It'll hurt, you know what I'm saying? I'm going past that, because I'm like, wow, this person, really? We got there's really a lot of sick people out there, man. Sick people. We are sick people. I'm telling you, we need to invest in behavioral science, PhD in behavioral science, because you got a lot of sick people. You know what I'm saying? When you think critically, the thing about that is that you're separating your mind. See, paradoxical brings it all together. But when you separate your mind, that's fracture. You fracturalizing your mind. And that is what falsehood is all about, lies. Because remember, truth is when all the pieces of the puzzle fits perfectly together. Everything, you can go to historical data, you can go to mathematical data, scientific data. You can, all of this has to fit your situation, your thing, or whatever you're claiming. All of that has to fit. If it doesn't fit, then you know it's out of order, then it's a lie. That's the definition of falsehood. So that's very, 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 very important. So critical thinking, what they did in the public education, and by promoting this, is fractalize the mind. That's the reason why they put you in college for fractal, until you're able to put all of that together. All of those pieces together. We walked a long walk in a short time, and that is through all these different schools of thoughts. It's important so that you can have tolerance for people's differences. At the same time, you're able to look at it paradoxically. If you look at the string of all those schools of thoughts, you get to see there's a common thread in there. That's that path. There's a common thread in there. There's a path in there, okay, that we have to tread that path. Tariq, we have to tread that path. Tariq. You know what I'm saying? So that we can expand. Pa'ut. Expand. Pa'ut. And that leads to Yanun, O light. Yanan, the light. That leads to that. That's why it's important when this man had dropped that, when we're able to see that manifesting in real time, manifesting in a human body, and we say, wow, I get it. I get it. But we all connected. We are all connected. We all have that power. We all have that power. We all part of it. This is a global thing, man. This is not just one specific group of people. This is a global thing. This is a galactical, what they say, the galactical confederation, are looking down and saying, man, when are these people going to learn? Because when you look at it together paradoxically, and that appreciation, then you start spilling over to the planet and how you conduct your everyday life. And what can you do to make things right? What can you do to save the planet? What can you do to save the judicial system? Because that's a mess. There's people going to jail that don't need to be going to jail, that has been done wrong. They've been done wrong. And the protocols have been broken. Those protocols has been broken. And when that breaks, that's a problem, because it says precedent to other situations, and that's a big, huge problem when that happens. Because you see, that's how the civilization has fallen. Because of all this practice that comes back from Babylonian time. From Kemet, from the Ptolemy dynasty, to Babylonia, to Greek, to Rome, to this present empire that birthed out of the European Empire. And all these empires spread out through all the world. Each one of these empires. And so it's fallen because it's been, you know what I'm saying? When you, again, when I make that podcast about when you work the shadows. You see, there's people out here that work the shadow self. That's how you have to do shadow work. You got to address your shadow self. And your shadow self consists of what? Fear. You got to face your fear. The first one is you got to face separatism. How you separate. You know what I'm saying? You got to face your racism, or separatism, them thoughts of separatism, thinking that you're different than everybody else. You got to address that. That's at the core. That's at the earth. Then at the root, you got fear. Right? You got to address your fears. You got to face your fears. Then at the sacral center, you got guilt. Right? Then on the solar plexus, guilt. Give me 1 second. I got my notes somewhere. Yeah. You got fear. You got guilt. I'm listening to shadow self in that order. Or maybe I should go down. Maybe I should go down. I should start at the top, which is you have to face your doctrine and dogma. You got to see what is that creating for you, your doctrine and your dogma, right? The shadow self. So they perpetuate doctrine and dogma out here in this civilization, right? Then you have to address your ego attachment, okay? You got to address your ego attachment. That's important. Then you got to address the illusions, of how you was alluded to certain illusions. You got to address that. Then you got to address the lies, okay? Then you have to address your grief. Then here it comes, your shame. That's at the solar plexus, your shame. And then your guilt, right? And then your fear, and then your separatism. All of these are the shadow self. If you think about it, if you reason on how this civilization, this society, through the media, through music, listen to the lyrics, look at the tones, listen to the lyrics, look at the movies. There's always they manipulate the shadow self. They work in the shadows. They're addressing your grief. They're addressing shame. They're addressing fear. Horror movie, fear. You just go down the line. They're addressing doctrine. Now, those are the shadow self, which is cast by the light. And then you can go over to the light, and you see the light side. So fear is cast by the light of survival. Not having the things you need to survive will stir up a fear in you. That casts a shadow of fear. Survival casts the shadow of fear. So that's how you balance it when you look at the reciprocal of it, right? You look at the other side and you balance it. You know what I'm saying? Well, I did a whole extensive podcast of that, but one day I'm gonna put it all together into one broadcast that we're gonna get all the lessons right in one, about the enlightenment self, and again that balancement, in our lives. So we've been bamboozled, yo. Me too. I've been through the public education. I've been through that. But this is the thing, and I'm so glad, and I'm honored, and I'm so glad I'm able to share this, what I'm saying? Because that's very important to me, is to share this. I got family members on here, listen, what I'm saying? And I want to share things. And everybody know I am not the perfect example. No, I'm a human being. There's stuff that I have to face. There's things that I can do. But again, remember that there's two different vibrations. You can look at a person and see this person is no good, is doing all this type of stuff, but you see a good quality in that. So you want to amplify that. You want to address that good quality. And if they don't want to address that, then they're falling into the shadow, and you got to let them be. Because again, remember, I made that podcast. A lot of people are going to get sick. Because as this light casts that shadow, a lot of people that caught up in the shadow, that shadow is not darkness or blackness. It's dark in the sense that it's a gray area. You know what I'm saying? It can make you sick. That's how you have people that can look at aura and know you're sick, but they can see dark spots in your aura, and it says, "Oh, you got to adjust this, you got to adjust that, you got to address this, you got to address that." So shadow work is very important, and that's sitting in front of a mirror and addressing these questions. You got to face your fears. You got to access. You got to communicate with yourself. All right, that's a practice. That's a sign. That's a Sons of the Green Light. That's a mystical practice. That's doing shadow work. You know what I'm saying? But again, there are people that work. They manipulate the shadow. They work the shadows and the angles. They work that. Because that's their form of manipulation, of control over a mass of people. be it because of profit, being because of, again, ego, attachment, guilt. They're in the shadow self. That's what the society, and now that we're in the sun cycle, the light is being amplified. We're getting bombarded by solar flares. Just recently, we just got bombarded. One, that's when Facebook went down and the internet was acting crazy, and T-Mobile acting crazy, the phone system, because we're getting bombarded. You know what I'm saying? So we're being pushed to address and to think about. People will not. They were trying to just, okay, it's fixed and whatever, but they don't address what happens if all this internet, what goes on if I'm unable to do this anymore with you? Or you're unable to Google anything anymore? You know what I'm saying? So you're left at a crossroad. You're left somewhere. But you have to get to know that somewhere and to know it's all right. I know people, I don't need to be on here to speak or to communicate. I know I can go out there and there's a bookstore here. I can go out and meet people and communicate at that level, All of that is being taken away, of course, because of the pandemic. But that's something that we have to deal with. We can't forget that there is communicating, the art of communicating with ourselves is very, very important. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very crucial. Very, very important. So, again, with this civilization and the public education, because the public operates like that. When you're in the public sector and you get public education, you start working for a specific department. You compartmentalize to a system and you put into a specific compartment. You now are a compartment of medical compartment, military compartment. You're now in the social compartment, psychology. You're put into many different compartments. But the Confederation, the Galactic Confederation, does not operate like that. It's been through all that. We've been through all that. And there are beings now manifesting here that has this ability amplified in the genetics. And so it's a process of life. It's a process. It's happening. That's the way it is. You can't stop it. Growth is growth, no matter what. You could clip that rose, but lurking inside in that soil is a possibility. In that blackness of soil, there's a possibility for another rose to arise and to grow. Think about that. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's natural nature. Again, like I put in the paragraph, magic. That's magic. That's the magic, natural nature magic. It's that will, that expression, that mystical, that expression that you is there. Because it's a part of us that's beyond and transcendental. We know it's there. But when we seek it, it just puts us in that beyondness. Expanding. Papa-ut. You start expanding. Transcendence, you start expanding. Papa-ut. That sense is there. That's an ability that we all have. And some of us are cut off and like I said, weather away. And I'm wishing, and I'm not wishing or hoping on myself, but I'm saying I am fighting. I'm doing what I have to do to look beyond and transcendence and look at all situations at a paradoxical reasoning for now, until there's another transcendental reasoning. Transcendental. That's another one. Transcendental reasoning. Check that out. Coin here first. Transcendental reasoning. Because, you know why I say that? In my days at NYU, we had to take a course, communication course, right? It's a requirement because you got to take writing, psychology. There's some course. I was in the music department, music program, but I had to take these other courses. And communication courses is a requirement that you have to take at the university level. And when I walked into that class, the professors introduced us to a book called The Transcendental Self. And I was like, what does this book have to do with communicating? And she wanted to know, what do you think? Read the book and tell me what does it have to do with communicating. Man, she was preparing us to look beyond and transcend and to see, when you see the physical self, there's other selves there. And so when you, in the art of communicating, you have to look beyond. You got to look at yourself, and then you have to be willing to tap on to that which is beyond. We call transcendence. Transcendental, you have to look beyond. And so that's another type of reasoning skill. You got critical, paradoxical, and then you got transcendental reasoning. Where great men have come, their mind have come from beyond to bring about the sense of reasoning that's beyond reasoning. You know? It's beyond, it's a sense of reasoning it's beyond what they call behind the nine ball. But that goes into another area, behind the nine ball. That's deep. But all this to say is this. So on the media, the social media, there's a lot of things going on. And we got to be very careful with those that are teaching and those that are speaking. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand one thing, that as you see me now and I'm speaking, if you see me now, you just see this person and you see what I say. But now you got to, I hope that it's not hope, but it will spark of you thinking beyond yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm part of the self. We're all part of the same self. You know what I'm saying? So any person that's speaking up here in these platforms, you have to apply. You can apply critical thinking, that's one, but you have to also balance that with paradoxical thinking. And then take it to a transcendental thinking. Go beyond. But takes skills. And so many people are caught up. Again, that public system, it failed because it created a lot of critical minds instead of paradoxical minds, instead of transcendental minds. Minds that are able to go beyond and, again, create magic. Squeeze from that what's beyond, squeeze it out so as to visualize it and to manifest. And the manifestation of healing, how we are to heal this planet. If everybody's thinking critical. No one is, no one wants to go beyond, these minds, So that's really the crux of it, But there's much more that we can go into. There's many, many examples, not only examples, this conversation, when you start going beyond and transcendent, now you're dealing with expansion. So this can go out further and further and further. But here, and the ability that we have to go beyond and transcendent is real. It's a acquired skill, like an acquired taste and acquired skill. So you have to seek out those that have that and are able to teach it to you. Teach it so that we can each one teach each other. You teach each other and say, let's have these conversations and let's go beyond. And that's what, I was doing when I went on the podcast. And I go into many of these podcasts. I try to bring something out, transcendent, and try to bring it in to see how it resonates. What can it spark? You know what I'm saying? So that we can communicate. We could be on the same page, Then we can say, hey, listen. Again, doing shadow work. We got to look at what we're doing as a people, as humanity. What are we doing on this earth? You are as important. You're very, very important on this earth. You're the catalyst. It begins with you, it starts with you, and it ends with you. You. Fix that inner world, and your outer world will reflect it. You know? So I'm looking at a lot of sick individuals on these chats, on these platforms. They're sick. Sick. And not only because they're being, a critical mind says, oh, you're already saying that because we disagree with the stuff that Dr. York did. And they're already saying that because, you know, and that's a heinous act that he committed. And I'm never going to condone that. You're right. You don't condone it. Don't condone it. But again, look at the fact that great things came out of this man. You only hearing hearsays, and you looking at the case, right? Hearsays, and it's slander, because the man is not here to protect himself and speak for himself. So that's slandering. You backbite. But then the case, when you dig deep into the case, you don't know about the case. You don't know what, you know, there are many people out there that has been found guilty who are really innocent. That's the judicial system. So we have to protect the judicial system. We have to make sure that the protocols are right and correct, and that true judgment was instilled. But when you have a little bit of glitches in here, you have little mistakes and little things going on that doesn't add up, then you say, wait a minute, there's some lies being propagated here. Something else is happening, okay? So you got to look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, in general, any child molester or anything that happens to do with abuses of women and children is a heinous act. We shouldn't condone that. No, we should never condone that. And that's a fact. I stay firm in that. We should never condone that, right? But we have to be honorable, right? We have to be truthful, and we have to seek the truth in justice. We have to seek that honor in the judicial system, a system that's over us, that judges us. We have to look at that, because if you don't, okay, then you're going to fall into a critical mind. You're going to believe. Why believe in something you cannot prove? A lot of stuff has not been proven. There's a lot of inconsistency. So this case of this man, Dr. York, is exposing all of that. If you look at it from a transcendental reasoning, and you look at it from a paradoxical one and transcendental, you say, wow, look what's being exposed here. Not only the fact that child molestation is being exposed, which is a sickness in our society. Not only that, but our judicial system is being exposed. Those that manipulate the shadows from behind and the angles are being exposed. And so the act of us coming together and establishing something for ourselves is being compromised. It's funny how certain things that I say, but I don't want to space out like that. Certain things are being compromised when the judicial appropriation is not right, when something doesn't add up. Forget about a person is innocent or guilty. Look at the judicial system, the protocol and the laws. Are these judges following the protocol when it comes to judging? There is a set protocol. So that's, you see, all of that is looking at beyond, transcendent, not critically. Oh, he's a child molester, that's it. He deserves to be 135 years. He deserved this, he deserved that, because he did it. That's critical thinking. Not paradoxical thinking. And then you're going to bring sources that are part of the problem. You are the source. The source of it all is your experience. Your experience. Again, that this act of this act of reasoning, again, going beyond the transcendental reasoning, okay, where the gateway is the paradoxical thinking. And then you go beyond that. You know what I'm saying? It's important. You know what I'm saying? It is important for the very survival of this planet, for the humanoids and for us on this, the humanoids on this planet. Very, 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 I can't say how important it is. Because we all are important. We're all, we're all experiencing our own universe. And some of us are oblivious, don't know that this is going on, but it's going to come to a time where it's going to come to your doorstep. It happens. And when it comes to your doorstep, you have to be ready, armed with truth, and you have to be ready to pick up your arms with it and deal with it. Deal with it. There's a lot of toxic people, especially on the internet. A lot of toxic people. People could just hide behind their computers. You know what I'm saying? They can hide behind it, and they can just, that's what they do. Right now, this is the fourth industrial revolution. This is what it's all about right now. This is the agenda. This is what's being rolled out. Fourth industrial revolution. Just look it up. Go to the World Economic Forum, look at the fourth industrial revolution. It's going to give you a whole stack of files for you to look at. Happy hunting. Happy hunting. Go beyond. And that's transcendental reasoning. Is to go beyond. Beyond what's being put out. I want to look beyond it. I want to see it beyond that. You know what I'm saying? So again, when you deal with, there's been monsters, people that have been considered monsters on this earth, but at the same time, genius. Shaped, exposed a lot of things, and shaped the world we know it today. Monsters. Because again, remember, evil and good are two different vibrations. It can exist. Hot and cold are two different vibrations. It exists in warmness. That's in the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, or Thoth, whatever name you want to use. That's in the Kabbalion. Look up the Kabbalion. Look at the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, or the Kabbalion, Thoth. You know what I'm saying? The emerald tablets. This ancient text was left back, and this is where all this comes from, genetically. This is the part of us that is starting to be, is manifesting in our everyday lives. And so we have to be cognizant of it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I've been here about an hour. So that's critical, and that's paradoxical, and then we have transcendent. Before I go, I'll bring up the definition of what's transcendent. 1 second. Let me come here. Wait a minute. 1 second. I'm just going to do this real quickly. Look up transcendent. Where are you? Are you here? Dictionary. Looking for the dictionary. Let's see it. Here it goes. Transcendent. Transcendent. Okay, here it goes. Share the screen. Share screen. Share screen. Getting better at this. Getting a little better at this. Bring this up over here. And this up. Transcendent. Beyond, above the range of normal and merely physical human experience. It's beyond, surpassing the ordinary. or exceptional, existing apart of God is existing a part of and not subject to the limitation of the material universe, often contrasts with eminent. In scholastic philosophy is higher than or not included in any of Aristotle's 10 categories. In Canadian philosophy, not realizable in experience. So transcendent is from a late Middle English word, transcendent, which means climbing over, from the verb transcendere, climbing over, going beyond. But that's trans, you don't want that. That's transcendent. To go beyond, climb over it, go beyond. A lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid. So I look at a lot of people in the chat, stuff like that, that are people that are afraid. That are afraid. What you afraid of? You know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid to say that I know this person and that person and I had great experience with that person. I'm not afraid to say that because that's the truth. That's the experience that I had. You know what I'm saying? But there are people out here that never had an experience with a person, but they'll be critical. They're from a critical mindset. Off the bat, nah, man, nah. Off the bat, they're going to always put their 2 cents in. They're always going to come from that perspective, that critical mind. And I watch that and I says, well, let's test to see if it's, but they don't even want to test their critical reasoning because they can't go beyond. They can't think paradoxically because they're not balanced. I'm telling you, you can tell by the way the person is and what they do and what they say. You can see where they're at with their shadow self. I think these people are dealing with certain guilt, certain shames they got to face, you know, certain grievance that they have to face with, you know, certain doctrine and dogma that they got caught up. They got to face that. They got to face the ego attachment. They got to face their lies that they've been told. They got to face their illusions. Because they're like, the world is an illusion, so what can I believe in? You know, that's in their mind. They got to face that. You know what I'm saying? They got to face their fears. And they got to face their separatism. You know? They don't want to acknowledge that we all on this planet are humanoid. You know, when they send out these people out there to space and they view the Earth from space, when they come back and they're like, wow, how do you feel? Well, I felt that this connection of the whole and knowing that how we are so connected. We are one body of people. From that perspective, that's going beyond. You got to think like that and look back and say, think like you're out there in space looking back into the Earth. You don't see black people here. You don't see white people here. You don't see Chinese. You don't see any of that from space. You don't. That's an inner experience of separatism experience. Because again, genetic blueprint, ancestral patterns creates, that's the light that creates that separatism. So they can't go beyond that. They can't. They don't think like that. They don't have that space mind, that galactical mindset. They don't have that. So you're dealing with the people on the internet, on these chats, and you're dealing with people and you see that, wow, some sick people on here, all over. You walk and you see, man, you know, sometimes it's difficult for an empath because you feel people's pain. And that pain is offset by pleasure. And that pleasure creates a shadow self of guilt. You know, they're living in a circle. They're being caught up. You know what I'm saying? They're not centering themselves. And they don't know how to center themselves and to look at everything from a paradoxical lens, not only paradoxical, from a balanced lens and a transcendental lens. But in order for you to go to the transcendence, you got to be balanced. Because that's how you climb over. You can't climb over the critical part, because if you climb over critically, It's only going to put you back in the critical point. And you're going to go in a circle, a logical fallacies in a circle, right? You're begging the questions. You're creating straw men. You're making false analogies. You know, all these logical fallacies. That's what you're getting caught up in. You know? When you look at a paradoxical and you try to climb over the paradoxical, you get caught up in the duality. So you have to be careful with that. But when you go to the transcendence, beyond reasoning, beyond that transcendence where experience live, that's a whole nother topic and issue. And we're just going to leave it there. Well, peace and blessings to everybody, man. You know, those who came on earlier, a shout out to my cousin, Stephanie Pachota. Stephanie Pachota. Shout out to my beautiful cousins, man. And Steve Breeze. Steve Breeze, you're the man. You know what I'm saying? Not too many people got on here, but I'm hoping, and a shout out to all those you that view this later. I'm going to probably drop this on my Morals and Ethic page also. I'm going to put it on there. And I got some new administrators, and we got some more seats in the council being filled as we speak. Because, again, you know, we have to honor elders, and we have to, you know, put the record straight. Let's put the record straight. You know what I'm saying? We're not condoning these things. We're just putting the record straight. That you got to also go beyond. As you go age, you know, aging gives you the ability to actually, should give you the ability to go beyond things, transcendence, look at things from a different perspective. Because that's where experience is at. So that's important, you know, to acknowledge that. And we say the Council of Nine. The Council of Nine only means Ansarullah members. You know, that's a Council of Nine. You know what I'm saying? 9 principles that we live under. 9 is the highest number on the number graph. You know what I'm saying? 10 is just a compound number of 1 and 0. 9 is the primary number, the highest of the primary numbers. 9 also, there's a lot of, the acronym, they use it as an acronym to mean something. I'm forgetting it. It's eluding me right now. But the Council of Nine, it's morals, morals, say it again, morals, morals and ethics, ethica, morals and ethics, appropriation. Look up the word appropriation, very important. The appropriation committee. Hear me say that. I would say hearsay is not healthy. Critical without evidence is poisonous. Yes, Khalil. Kahil, shout out to my brother. Kahil, my brother. Yes, you're right. The hearsay. It's not healthy. Again, because hearsays are a lie. Again, that's a shadow self, man. That's a shadow self. And critical thinking is also part of the shadow self. You know, to be critical. You know, and paradoxically, thought is the light that casts the shadow of critical thinking. But at the middle of it is the transcendental reasoning. And that's what we got to go beyond, climb over that and look beyond. But yeah, it is poisonous. It affects the body, man. I'm telling you, I'm reading books right now. Just a little bit, I just want to state that. The Art of Communicating. And you look at a lot of these books that deal with psychology and health. And it's constantly mentioned. And also the study of kinesiology. Kinesiology is also a study of how waves and frequencies, how that affects your muscles and your organs. And it's all affected. So words are, waves happen frequently, frequencies. Words and sound are carriers of consciousness. All of this is studied. You know, all of this is a study that's going on. And the mind can be studied like that, you know, because we also not have a physical existence, but we have an etheric existence. You know, we have a plasmic existence. There's many different existences that we have, you know, bodies that we have. And we have a mental existence. That's the step to the character and personality, which you call spiritual existence. You know? A master teacher broke that down to me one time. Looked at me and said, the mental is the next step to the spiritual. But I look at the spiritual as the character and personality. So the mental is a step towards that. So when you get your mind right, you get your character right, right? You get your body right, you know? And that is true. You know, that these hearsays is not healthy, critical without evidence, is poisonous. Completely correct. Great. Great. So, So, you know, I'm going to leave it at that. And like I said, you know, to everybody out there, so this is, you know, it's going to be released publicly. And I'm going to also put it on my page, the Morals and Ethic Appropriation Committee, which I said is a council of 9, which only means Ansarullah, you know what I'm saying? And those that came from 1970, opening up the 7 seals up to the closing of it was in 1983. You know what I'm saying? We came into the moon cycle in 1962. Things changed. We came into the revolutionary cycle. And then the sun cycle kicked in, right? A lot of things were being exposed. Civil rights came out, and a lot of things, appropriations, a lot of things started happening. Now we're at the point right now where, you know, that was the end of the rule of the dynasty. That's the end of their rule. And the certain amount of people was ruling for 6,000 years, but prior to that, there were a couple of thousands years you could add on. So they've been in power for a good 10,000 or more years. You know, but their empire fell. Empire rises, empire falls. But some empires that falls always try to, the Babylonians, when they fell, that empire, and birthed the Greek Empire, what happened? The Greeks went back to the Babylonian to gain certain information. It morphed into that. You know, the Babylonian morphed into the Greek, and then the Greek morphed into the Roman Empire, and then the Roman Empire morphed into the European Empire. You know what I'm saying? The empire of the bird, right? The phoenix bird and the eagle and the bird. But these empires, they tangle with each other and were birthed out of it. But this is the last of this empire. And so now they are moving towards another empire, which is the fourth industrial revolution, which is being ushered by the fourth industrial revolution. Is genetic engineering, virtual reality, augmented reality, internet 3.0, the metaverses, things like that are starting to now, this is them creating their empire. And they even drop it in movies. Check out the movies, what was that movie? The Terminator. When he goes back in time, you see this? And then when he goes back into the future, the technology that was available, and then he comes back as an android, as a robot, a killer robot. Look at those, these movies drop. Because remember, it's all about magic. They're harnessing their frequencies and their tones, and they're visualizing the world that they want, and they're creating it, they're manifesting it. It's all about magic, Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, because if not, we'll just get into another conversation, go even further. But peace and blessings to everyone, and I know that we are having a wonderful experiences. We're learning, and there is that source. You are in that source. You're part of the all is part of you. The all is expanding, Papa Earth. The all is expanding because it's going beyond and transcendent, okay? And that is the way to Yanan, always say, oh, light. Nan or noon is the light. Oh, light, oh, light one, the one with that light. You know what I'm saying? So we're going beyond that. And beyond the light is that blackness where light comes from. And that blackness is that vacuum. And that's going, again, beyond transcendent. Going beyond and transcendent. Okay? So I just want to leave it there. And I know that we are, find us in a good place. That there is, I don't believe in hope, wishful thinking or hopeful thinking or blind faith or anything like that. Is that we can make it manifest. We have the power within us. All we have to do is work on our inner being so that it creates the outer. Remember, Morbius strip. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the lessons that the occult teaches. That's one of the lessons that Wu Nuwap came to teach us. Wu Sabat connects us back to the stars. That energy, you know, the etheric energy that we all part of. We are star substance. You know what I'm saying? So, peace and blessings to you all. I'm out.